Welcome to the Truth Wealth Project podcast. I'm Sam Khairi, your host, dedicated to exploring the secrets of achieving a healthy and wealthy life. In each episode, we'll dive into wealth creation, health optimization, and holistic strategies for living your best life. Our guests include entrepreneurs, investors, and experts from various fields, all sharing their insights and success stories. Join us as we uncover practical tips and inspiring stories to help you achieve financial independence and a thriving lifestyle.
All right, welcome everybody to another episode of the True Wealth Project. I'm your host, Sam Khairi. Today I have the honor and the pleasure of having Angel Williams on my show. She's a superstar in the syndication world, and I am super lucky to have met her a few weeks ago in a common setting that we're part of. And, Angel, welcome. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Gosh, thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know we were just talking about this a little bit before the show as well. And we've kind of gotten to know each other a little bit past 11, 12 weeks now. Like your story is just amazing, right? I mean, it's what I really want to do today is kind of do a little bit of deep dive into how you guys came about, how you came up and got into real estate and obviously multifamily. And if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Jason and I both grew up in families that invested in residential real estate. And we personally have been on the residential side for about 20 years. Do the math on that. Yeah, I think it's right at 20. So we also have a residential portfolio, which if you're looking to get in multifamily, you're going to hear from people that are like, dump the residential. Don't dump your residential if you don't want to, because there is nothing else out there that's going to get you infinite returns the same way. None of our original money is tied up in any of those assets. So we've got 6 single families, a quad, a couple of duplexes. They're all infinite returns. None of money. So those are pretty awesome. Now they are leveraged. Well, the quad and the aren't, but all the singles are leveraged. So the cash flow it's not crazy amazing. But for the majority of people out there, at the first of the month, you're not walking around with a big wad of cash like a baller anyway. We're all getting about maybe 100, 200, maybe 300 in cash flow per house that we own. And
that's leveraged. I mean, yeah. That's great.
I mean, why would I tie up all my money in a property?
That's right. Absolutely.
If you're not raising money from people, the best way to use other people's money is to do it through a loan.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when we had loans when they were relatively low, and we could pick them up relatively easily as well, right?
In 2003, when we bought our first house, we financed 100% of it.
That's amazing. Yeah, I do want to get into that. So you guys must past 20 years, you've been in single family residential real estate. Clearly, you've had some obviously some exposure, some interest in real estate, right? I mean, at some point, tell me the story about like how you came about finding about commercial real estate, more specifically multifamily, and kind of what opened up your eyes to what can be done, right?
So we had our son in 2010, and I kind of knew something was going on. Our first child was born in 2007, and she was just super fast at things. Like, she rolled over when she was 2 weeks old, and I'm like, whatever. I put her back in her stomach. It's like, okay, this is crazy. She was smiling. She was really far ahead in things, holding her head up. And when Anson was born, first off, he was little bitty. He was 4 pounds and 15 ounces. There was placental abruption. And so I had been complaining. And I'm like, this is my second kid. Something's up. Well, every pregnancy is different. I'm like, no, something's going on. And so I had placental abruption. So the placenta had started to separate. So he was super small. And he wasn't moving at the same rate that Julianne had. And so we're really fortunate that Julianne was accomplishing milestones at the front of the scale, even beyond the scale sometimes. Because if she hadn't been so far ahead, I probably wouldn't have picked up on Anson so quickly. But I kept pushing, and he was already in ECI by the time he was 3 months old, which ECI is early childhood intervention, which if you have a child with a rare disease and they know about it in utero, you get ECI services from the moment they're born. Well, we didn't do an amnio. We did a level 2 sonogram, but because we didn't do an amnio, we didn't know that there was a chromosomal issue going on. So we have him, and having a special needs child it's just expensive. Now, at first, a lot of it's the same. Diapers, clothes, those things are the same. And ECI is actually free. So we were able to get the early childhood services up until the age of 3 and we didn't have to really worry about it. Well, after 3, did we start adding in stuff before that? We may have started adding in some of the private services before that, but Jason's insurance through his work was really pretty good, and it covered all of those private therapies. But then they hit a point where we needed ABA. ABA is about, it's, gosh, I don't ever remember what ABA stands for. It's like adaptive behavior. No, that's not right. Maybe it is. It's adaptive behavior analysis or something similar to that.
Sure.
It's the number, and supposedly the number one treatment for autism. There isn't actually a treatment, but it basically helps people with profound autism or moderate autism to really, this is a horrible way to say it, but to really become more socially acceptable.
Sure.
So
Absolutely.
that they can more easily function in society, right? Well, that therapy is $125,000 a year. Jason's insurance wouldn't cover it, so I went back to teaching full time. Actually, I went back to subbing first because I was like, I don't care if I got to pay for it, because at that point in time we were getting HIP. HIP is the Health Insurance Premium Payment Program. So I was having to pay $1,500, $1,600 a month for insurance, but that program was reimbursing me. So it didn't matter to me. Then I went back to teaching full time, still had the insurance, could pay for the ABA. When I left teaching, before I left, we had gotten our own insurance, but our own insurance through our LLC was $3,300. So
significantly higher.
A lot higher. So this is 2020. Well, in about 2017, Jason had been researching multifamily, and we were having some money problems because Anson had aged out of ECI. We were in PPCD, which is Public Preschool for Children with Disabilities. But even after that, elementary school worked pretty well for him. But junior high, he's hard to handle. We'll just say he's hard to handle. And he really needed to be in ABA. So along just this whole journey, we're realizing this is really expensive. And so Jason found multifamily about 2017, 2018. We went to an event with Memphis Invest and Grapevine, and Joe Fairless was a speaker, or he was a speaker.
Oh, that's amazing. Right.
And we would love to get with Joe. And this is back at Joe's beginning. Okay. So at this point in time, Joe had like 60 million in assets under management.
Okay.
So 2018.
That was in 2017, 2018. Yep.
Yeah. So in 2023, Joe has 2.8 billion in assets under management. So just going to put that out there. But we met him way back at the beginning.
Big contrast.
And his program was actually really quite affordable. And I was like, it's so much, we can't do that. And so we actually tracked down one of Joe's first coaches and went with him.
That's amazing.
It was not a program that we were very successful in. We floundered for about a year and a half, and we ultimately went back to Joe. So my first piece of advice, when you find a coach or a mentor that you know you want to work with, figure it out. Call them, cry, beg, sell everything you own, do whatever you have to do.
Yeah.
I cost us not only financially, but I also cost us a year and a half of time. Where would we be right now if we had that year and a half back? I don't know. But that was something that cost us, right? And so we finally got in, I think we got in at 2018, and we started investing passively, which was nice. Jason and I both had W-2s, so we were doing pretty well. And then things got really toxic where I was working, and I left in 2020. And Jason knew that he wanted to leave his W-2 also. So we started the Academy Presents REI Rocks. I'm a teacher. I got a teacher heart. Now I've got an educational platform. I am 100% fulfilled. Jason was not. And I couldn't understand it. I'm like, I don't understand why you're not having a great day every day. This is amazing. Right. I'm doing absolutely what I want. But he wasn't yet. And so he's like, I'm ready. I'm ready. And so he kept working, and it turned out that his company made the decision to move to Houston, and they weren't taking his position with them. So in June of 2022, he was laid off. His severance lasted until December of 22. So we basically had a year and a half to get ready. We did our first active deal and got it across the finish line in December of 21. And we got our second active deal across the finish line in December of 22. And so that's where we're at. That's what we're trying to do. And we really like investing in our backyard because we can be successful at it. It's really hard for somebody from out of town or out of state to be successful here. We're a very steady market. Like, there hasn't been a population change since 1960,
Sure.
but it hasn't gone down either. And we're right here. If something goes sideways, we're maximum 20 minutes from either of our properties. One of them is literally 15 minutes away. The other one is less than 4 miles from our house.
Wow, that's great.
anything goes crazy, we can just go. But our hope is to really be the king and queen of multifamily here in Wichita Falls and have that be something that we grow for, for
Yeah,
like.
yeah, absolutely. I know, and I know you both, you and Jason, you have complementary skills where Jason's very much analytical, and I could definitely relate to that. And obviously, you bring a different type of skill to the table as well, which is really good to see in a partnership. And obviously, in your case, you guys are in the same household as well. But just that's really cool, right? If you could talk about just kind of some of your skill sets the two of you guys bring to the table and how that complements it, right? I mean, I find that to
Absolutely.
be amazing.
So we are 100% in totally different lanes.
That's a good way to put it.
Can I do numbers? I do have a master's degree in economics. I could. Do I want to do
Yep.
numbers? No. It takes me probably, and I'm not even like exaggerating. It takes me 10 times or longer to do what Jason does in a couple of hours.
Yep.
He let me underwrite one deal one time, and like 14 hours in, I had only finished the report that they gave us in the pretty package. I hadn't even hit the Excel sheets yet. And I opened the Excel sheets up and I'm like, oh my God, is there some fast way to do this? And Jason's like, yeah, no, there's not. And I just stopped. I just
Right.
stopped. I
No,
couldn't do it
absolutely.
anymore. It made me sick to my stomach. I was like, I'm done. This isn't something I
Yep.
enjoy. This is not fun to me. I am done. And so that was really the day that I was like, numbers are not my thing. And I had friends kind of tough love me. They were like, if you don't know how to underwrite a deal, you're never going to have investors. And so Jason and I thought about it, and it was like, okay, so do I learn how to do some stuff? And we made the decision that no, if they're asking me
That's right.
questions that are above and beyond what I can talk about, they're going to have to talk to Jason. And I was worried that people wouldn't invest with us. But honestly, people really didn't care. When I said,
Yeah.
"Hey, I don't do the numbers, but Jason will help you." Now it's become such common knowledge in our circles. People are like, "Oh wait, you don't do numbers. Can I talk to Jason?" But it
No,
didn't. On our very
right.
first deal, we were the lead sponsors on our own first deal, and we still raised $1 million of that raise.
That's great.
Jason,
Yeah.
and
That's
so
amazing.
it hurt us. And we've got some credentials. Jason's got his PhD in chemical engineering. So
Of
yes,
course.
that helps. But he also knows how to code. So he coded our whole spreadsheet. That's his baby.
That's
That's his,
amazing. Yeah.
we're
That's amazing. Yeah, which is, like I said, which is great, right? I mean, it's in many of the partnerships you find others that kind of complement some of the stuff that you do. And
Joe's book. He talks about it in the beginning. He talks about the two questions. So we sent out the two questions to our friends. And it was like, what does this person do better than anybody else? What is this
yep,
person's natural talent? And so Jason and I sent
sure.
those out, and his was like detail oriented, takes care of things, and basically like what I say. He can go through a checklist and just get it done. I'm
That's right.
like, where did I put that checklist? I better start another one. Damn it, where's the next checklist? Like I'm just losing checklists, right? But now
Right.
relationships, I'm not going to remember people's faces until I've seen them a lot of times. I'm like face blind or some nonsense. But I'm going to remember their kids' names, probably what sports their kids are in. I'm more than likely going to remember the last conversation we had, even if it was 5 years ago. Those are things that I'm good at. So I became the relationships person, and Jason became our underwriter. And
That's
we've got
great.
other people on the team that fit in different places, and there's some crossover, but for the most
Sure.
part, we're all pretty much standalone in the skills that we have. Even when it comes to like the second team we have, we brought on Jason's sister and her husband. And yes, they're all chemical engineers. All three of them are. So can all three of them
Right.
underwrite? Yeah, they can. But we got a hammer over there, which if you know Matt
That's right.
Fairclough, he's like, somebody's got to be the hammer. Well, Sarah's husband, Alan, is absolutely our hammer. And he can say
That's
things
great.
in a way that people don't blow up, they don't yell, they don't hang
Yep.
up on the call. Like, he's really
That's
good. And so it's
yeah,
been
that's
really good
amazing.
to see how Jason's family's gotten involved and how, even though there's that crossover, we're growing and we're doing so without stepping on each other's toes. And so
Yeah,
it's super neat.
yeah, I think that's important, right? I mean, even you talk about underwriting or even asset management in the case of whoever's doing that, and in your case investor relations. It's you got to know a little bit of everything, right? It can't just be I'm going to stay in my lane, which works well, right? But it's like at some point there needs to be that crossover to kind of cover for each other. if you don't know where the numbers came from, at least, know the assumptions behind the numbers, know the story on the numbers, right?
Well, and so
Uh,
that's when I say like I can remember things about people's families. Once I've
sure.
seen the number a couple of times, I'm going to remember the number.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
like, I know like what our debt service is. I know what it is after a draw. I know how much it changed. I know the IRR. I know the cash on cash. I know what the raise amounts are. Like, I know those things,
That's
but
right.
don't start asking me why they're going up or down
That's
because
right.
I'm probably going to get it wrong. I know I'm
Yeah.
going to get it
No, that's
wrong.
right.
I'm still going to get it
Yeah, no,
wrong.
absolutely. All right, so tell me about how you guys go about finding your deals. It's super interesting to me especially for folks in our, Texas is obviously one of the hot markets, right? And it has been for a while. It's so amazing to me when I meet people from Texas. It's like you can invest in your backyard, whereas like me, I'm sitting in California. It's like I'm not gonna do much around here, right? Um, how did you guys? Was that the deciding factor to say we live in Wichita Falls? It's a great market. It's like you became the face of that town. It was like we're going to take down every deal that there is in this town. I mean, how did you guys come about doing that, right? Did you do any research? Like, how did that come about?
So we've been investing here in our backyard on the residential side for 16 years. We've got 4 single family homes right here in Wichita Falls, 2 B
Got
assets and
it.
2 C assets. So we've got a pretty good feel.
It's the one you know. Yeah, that's right.
And we know most of the complexes here. We've got a really amazing manager that lives here. Our regional is amazing. And it was really so we have a couple of different coaches, but Coach T, it's Trevor McGregor, he said, if you put your intentions out in the universe is going to have your back.
Love that.
And
Absolutely.
one day I was in the car and we got an SMS blast on 2 complexes right here in Wichita Falls. And that would have been in the summer of 21.
Okay.
And so I had never talked to a broker. So I called the number and the guy didn't even realize his phone had picked up. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, hello. And he's like, oh my God, I didn't know there was somebody on the phone. I was like, yeah, I'm
That's
on here.
interesting.
And so we were just talking. And later on, people are like, oh my gosh, you can't treat brokers like that. You can't treat them, you're supposed to hold them up and like on this pedestal or whatever. And I'm like telling them things like, well, yeah, I think lunchtime will be great. Go ahead and pencil us in. And if I don't call you back, we'll see you there at lunch on that day. And it worked out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
um,
Super
no,
funny. And so on that deal, there happened to be a senior broker and a junior broker. And so the senior broker's there and I drove up in the Jeep and he was like, oh, is this your Jeep? And at first I was like, well, we're the only people here that don't live here. There's 4 cars. One of them's yours. One of them's his. One of them's my husband's truck. Would be
that's
mine.
right. Yeah.
But I didn't say that. I said, yeah, that's my Jeep. He's like, do you like to get dirty? And I was like, I like to off-road. Turned out he did too. So we actually went off-roading with him and a friend of his, I guess about 4 weeks
Building those relationships. I love that.
later.
That's
So
so cool.
another hint that I kind of give out there is find something you have in common. You can usually do it really quick, but say it takes 15 minutes, say it takes a half hour, whatever it takes, find something that you have in common with someone because that gives you a place to build
It's an anchor. Yeah, absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
come in off of. So that was what
Yeah.
we did. And we almost lost the deal. I mean, the first GP team imploded, the second GP team imploded. It was the third one that got it across the finish line. Jason and I had $100,000 that had gone hard day one.
Sure.
And it was hard. 0 to 1 is absolutely the hardest. And like I said, we got it off an SMS blast. We got one property, not both. And that was okay because it turned out being great. It was the perfect size, 72 units, 15 minutes from our house. The price was good. We didn't have to raise a crazy amount of money. And then it turned out,
That's great.
yeah, it turned out that between me and Jason and our friend Frank, we had enough net worth and liquidity to take it down as lead sponsors.
That's amazing. That's not something you hear every day, right? But I will have to say, like, one thing you mentioned is the first one is always the hardest, right? It's the one that you're always scared. It's the one that you don't know much about, closing on a deal. You can read up on it, but it's like actually going through it. It's a little different, right?
Anything about you. You have no history.
Yeah, that's right.
I told the seller 15 times a day, I swear to God, we're going to close this thing, but we had no proof. I could scream it to the broker, I could scream it to everybody, but there was no proof. We've closed on every single residential we've ever done.
That's
That
right.
doesn't seem to matter. And so we were doing all these things. We finally got it closed. For the second one, we didn't even get an extension.
Just
It was like night and day.
blazed right through. Yeah,
Yeah. And
absolutely.
now we're getting like straight up pocket listings. They're not going
Yeah,
to any.
that's great. So you've basically built that relationship with those brokers and with your market, that not only do you live there, but it's your, target market that you're focused on. Sky's the limit. I mean, you could just go after every single property in the area, and you're it. You could be the front runner. That's great.
I don't think there's anybody out there that's going to know this market better than us.
That's amazing. So what's the plan? Are you guys are looking to scale your portfolio through what you're doing, right? I mean, what's the plan in the next little while, soon? And what's the plan, and how are you planning on getting there, right?
So the wealth build is awesome, which I think that's one of those other things that people don't always recognize when you're getting into any kind of real estate. It's a wealth build more so than a cash flow. Now, the cool thing about commercial multifamily is anytime there's a big capital event, refi, reposition, sell, you're going to get back a massive amount of change, like a big chunk of change. You don't get that in residential because residentials are usually
100%.
long-term holds. You hold them forever and ever. So you don't see the same thing. Now you own more and more, you can leverage it, you can refi it, and then you get that whole big chunk of change when you do those capital events, but it happens a lot faster in multifamily generally. You're going to see some 2x or pretty close to 2x every 5 to 7 years when you're investing in commercial multifamily. And that's the biggest difference that I see. But whether it's residential or whether it's commercial multifamily, I think the biggest part of that is the wealth build. Because when we first got into it, yes, we were accredited, but getting into commercial multifamily, 3x our net worth.
That's amazing.
3x.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. I mean, it's a lot of people think that what we do is get rich quick overnight. It's, you must have a lot of money, all those things, right? It's like you have that's only for my rich uncle or all of that, right? But to your point, it's first step is just to get in. And from there, it's, yes, you can get good cash flow as you're holding it. But to your point, it's a good wealth building tool for you to, hold longer term and benefit from it over and over again. It's not going anywhere. And we can just benefit from it over and over again. That's great.
Store of value too. I mean, with all the economic uncertainty right now, if you're invested in hard assets, like whether it's industrial, commercial, residential, whatever it is, those values are going to fluctuate with the value of the dollar. Now, there's been some separation, but I would just say when times are especially tumultuous, you're still going to have a really great store of value in those kinds of assets. I don't really do a lot of investing in anything other than real estate, well, in oil and gas. So I don't really know how other types of investing vehicles work.
Sure.
But I know that as a store of value, I have a lot of trust in real estate. Nothing is 100%, but I have a lot of good feelings towards real estate, a lot of trust in real estate because, I mean, my grandparents did it. I've done it. We're second or third generation investors. Like it's
That's amazing.
We've seen real estate. We've seen how it works. Are there downs? Absolutely. But the upward overall trend is upward.
No, that's right. I love what you just mentioned in that third generation real estate. It's real estate it's nothing new, right? It's not like crypto. It's not like stuff's been around. I mean, we live in homes, right? It's what to me it makes it a lot easier to have to explain to others just because it's like we're already a step ahead, right? It's like it's an asset class that we all know, and it's it's physically there. It's a hard asset. To your point, it's a tangible hard asset, and it's it's something we all know. It's so simple to explain, and we all just kind of see the benefits. And I'm so excited to tell everybody about the benefits and like just especially you guys' story. It's amazing just having that, like starting off is like having those like skills come together, like just under the same roof. You guys have done so amazing together, and I can't wait to see where this goes.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. I do want to leave us with one thing. I ask this question to everybody. I want to make sure that everyone has access to you and or Jason. How can everybody get in touch with you? Well, not only that, because I know you guys have a lot of stuff going on. Floor is yours. You've got your programs. I know Jason's got some stuff going on. Tell us everything. I want to know everything.
my gosh. So I need like a list of links, and I don't have a list of links, but I am Angel Williams on LinkedIn. My husband is Jason Williams, PhD on LinkedIn. We have the academypresents.com. That's our educational website, the educational platform. Or there's laurencapital.com. So LORRENCAPITAL.com. And that's our investing arm, and that's the investing website. And there are ways to get a hold of us through either of those, or we answer our LinkedIn messages. So those are some ways to get a hold of us. We have Marvelous Mondays every Monday, and you can get to that link. You can message me for the link, or it's basically the academypresents.com/meetup link.
That's great.
But I know. And if you want to know anything more about Jason's stuff, you can just message him.
Yeah, that's great. I know Jason's got some awesome underwriting stuff for those that are interested. And I didn't know he coded his own stuff, which I think I'm gonna follow up with him and make sure that I get that as well. So that's pretty cool.
I want to say he either had a minor in computer science or he almost double majored.
It's crazy. The more I learn about you guys, it's incredible. That's awesome. All right, Angel, I really appreciate your time. I know we try to keep these short, respect everybody's time, but really appreciate you coming on, and I can't wait to be on your podcast sometime soon. Hopefully, that'd be awesome. All right, thank you again, and have a good one. Yeah, we'll talk soon.
All right, bye guys.